Joining me now is the former senior advisor to the DHS Under Secretary Mayorkas, Berney Flowers, along with the chairman of the Border Commerce and Security Council, Nelson BALIDO. Thank you so much for being here. Berney, you just heard that report. I mean, this is spreading all over the place. The evolution of migrant crime is becoming more disruptive than ever. Multiple communities, including Aurora in Colorado, El Paso in Texas, they're reporting that illegal Venezuelan migrant gangs are taking over these apartment complexes. They're creating this big mess in the streets. And there's a massive flow of illegal Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Now, resident Mark Sanders, he spoke with our own Rob Astorino on what's really going on in Springfield. Watch this.
The number is being batted around is at least 15,000. There's closer to 25 to 30,000 right now.
Wow.
And we had a bus drop off at a local truck stop out by our fairgrounds, and about 30, got off the bus and kind of disappeared into an area to be picked up by vans and taken to it's a St. Vincent de Paul. It's like a welcoming center. And they're, being processed and given whatever they need to survive. We've got people here that have worked their entire life to be reasonably safe and secure in their homes, and they're not. We want our safety, security, and our sovereignty back.
So, Berney, he also stated that Springfield has a population of around 52,000. And about 2 years ago, now with this surge in Haitian migrants, their population has grown another 50%. Berney, what do you make of this situation that's going on there in Springfield?
First of all, it's terrible. First of all, thank you, John, for having me back. I always appreciate working with you. But the issue of the day is our government has been bringing people into the United States for quite some time and quietly. This whole sanctuary city program, they call them welcoming cities, all kinds of names like that. We're paying these NGOs to bring people here, and I don't see any real purpose behind doing it other than changing the status of the United States. I think it's a very, very bad thing, and our government should be ashamed of themselves because we're literally paying people to violate our rules and our laws.
And Nelson, despite everything, though, that's happened, Harris finally released her plan for the border. It's on her campaign's website. It reads, quote, as president, she will bring back the bipartisan border security bill and sign that into law. But at the same time, she knows that our immigration system is broken and needs a comprehensive reform that includes strong border security and an earned pathway to citizenship. And Nelson, she goes back to this bipartisan border bill. But Republicans say that this bill wasn't even designed to solve the problem, which is why they vetoed it. Which candidate has a better plan to reform the immigration system at this point?
Well, one of the things is that we have to look at is the history of both candidates and where they come from and what they've done. Obviously, the current administration has been there for 3.5 years. Kamala was asked to be the border czar, to go into Central and South America and solve these issues on a global scale so they would not head towards the southern border. And in fact, what's happened, unfortunately, is you have the emptying of jails in Venezuela and Nicaragua and many of these other countries that have exported their people that just simply don't follow the law. And now they've exported their problems in the United States, and we've let them in. They don't share information. There's no sharing of information of the backgrounds of any of these individuals from these Latin American countries to ICE or other law enforcement in the United States. So we really don't know who they are when they get here. The only people that know that is Venezuelans, and they exported their problem. In looking at the history of what's happened, well, the Republican bill, or rather the bill for the border, we all know that the first day of Biden in the administration, he vetoed many of these executive orders that Trump had put in. So what happened was immediately day two, they started flowing in. They don't need a bill to stop what's happening. OK, I know they tried to confuse the American population, saying that they vetoed it or the Republicans didn't want it. But ultimately, they don't need any of it. They have the executive power to stop this craziness immediately, but they simply don't do it. And we've seen that time and time again. Kamala's a perfect example.
Exactly. Border Patrol agents have told me personally, said it's just policy. I mean, just let us go and do the job and we'll stop this tomorrow. But they don't. Berney, former President Trump says that if he is elected, he'll immediately begin this process of mass deportations to all these bad illegal migrants, and he's going to get them out of the country. Now, Trump also plans to end the CBP One app. He'll revoke deportation immunity. This is what he was putting out on True Social. And he plans to suspend refugee resettlement. Here's your old boss, Secretary Mayorkas, on deportation. Watch this.
And by the way, forgive me, I was speaking of operational reality. I was talking about practicality. I was not talking about policy. I didn't address the fundamental issue of whether that is good policy.
Do you want to say whether or not it's good policy?
It is not good policy.
So your thoughts on those comments right there? It looked like he took a little extra time here to think about how he was going to respond to that. What did you make of it?
I think that he is wrong. Bottom line is it is not good policy to bring so many people into the United States that don't fit into our culture. They're bringing crime, they're bringing gangs, just like what's happening in Aurora, Colorado, just like what's happening in Springfield. They are not a good fit. Now, if these people had been properly vetted, like the United States government claimed, maybe things would be a little bit different. But we started off from a deficit right there. They weren't properly vetted. We didn't have the capability to vet millions of people. But the issue today is President Trump has a plan to get these folks sent back home, and hopefully we can send them back to their countries of origin and help those countries restabilize themselves so there won't be such an influx of migrants coming into the United States. But right now, the main thing is we got to identify these people in the American streets, protect the American people, and if we can get Mr. Trump back into office, we'll start the process of sending them back home.
Yeah, and Nelson, real quickly here, but Venezuela, they're not providing any information about these people that are coming into the United States to the U.S. officials. And now we know that they're in the country. Do we now have to just wait for them to commit crimes before we can link them now to these Venezuelan gangs? What's your thought on the people that are already here that we have no information on?
See, that's a big problem. These are people that are already here that have been gone through the system. The other problem is that you have is the people that we don't know that are here. Is the other 20% gotaways that we know that are going through our border that simply just don't even check in at all. But until we are able to attend some type of database, which we're never going to do with the craziness that's going on in Venezuela right now, to be able to identify these people, yes, we're going to have to wait till they do crimes. And then at that point, hopefully get them arrested and deported.
What a situation we're in. Berney Flowers, Nelson BALIDO, thank you so much. I appreciate coming on with your expertise.
Thank you.